classroom management issues with a large class size, and I have witnessed, and admittedly I feel lucky not very often in a class that I've been instructing, but I have witnessed the surfing on the computer and the texting. I actually sat in a colleague's class of 100 level students. That was a very large class, and I did note I was almost amazed at the ability to multitask that the students around me seem to be able to do, because I simply don't have that trait. And so I recognize that this kind of thing happens in a larger class. And I think that I haven't seen it happening very often in the anatomy class that I've been teaching, this large 180 to 250, depending on the term, class. And I think it's because of the style of the class. So if the classroom is a passive classroom environment, in that the instructor is delivering and the student's job is to passively take in information, then really any given student may indeed be able to do two things at once, right? Depending on their level of ability to multitask, or how much information they're interested in bringing in at one time. And I think that's part of that dynamic. You're giving, when a student is sitting and passively taking in, they have a lot of choices about what to do with their time in that moment. And so I think that the way the dynamic is different in the anatomy classes that I've been teaching is that they're very interactive. So students sit in groups. They sit in groups from basically week 2 of the term onwards. And they are constantly being asked questions throughout the class. So we might take a topic that, again, they've already prepared. They've brought that information with them to the classroom, so they're not just sitting there like an empty sponge waiting to be filled up. They have information in front of them, and I'll pose a question. And often it's something they can turn to their neighbors to talk about, or other times it'll be something they can just answer out loud right away. And other times we'll use clickers so that they'll have a chance to process more of an exam format question, see it in its typical exam format, talk to the neighbors about it, and answer with a clicker. And so I think that the reason that I haven't really had classroom management issues with texting or web surfing and things like that is that the students are busy. They're too busy, actually, in the moment, during that hour and 20 minutes, to take the time to do those other things. I'm not saying that there's not possible. There's a student sitting here texting off to the side, but it's not at all a distraction, and it's not something that's come up where other students have said, oh, can you ask this person not to surf on the web while I'm in class? So those things just haven't been surfacing, and it's not something I'm noticing. But I really do think it's because it's a very active classroom. It's a loud classroom. People are talking all the time and answering questions and shouting out answers or talking to their neighbors about a clicker question. And I think with all that activity and hubbub, there just isn't that much time for them to choose to multitask in other ways. So I think that's why that's not coming up, although I haven't actually asked the students to find out from their own opinions, but that's my take on it.